5pmnation.com.
Everybody, welcome. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon. I've got some explaining to do. I made a little mistake. John Hopwood's in the Facebook live chat going, what was that? I know. Just give me a minute. Hey, welcome everybody. It is Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon. We're live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, streaming at WMNHradio.org. We're also on Comcast Channel 97 if you're in Manchester, and of course on Facebook via Facebook Live on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. Let's see. Oh, I just got a confirmation from our guest for later. So we got a lot of activity in the Facebook Live chat. I'll get to you all in a moment, but my intention was to debut the world premiere of the brand new hit single from Flower Pot Records, Blanking on the Atomic River. And I played the wrong version. There is a radio edit, and that's why I cut it off and hit the dump button, because I was like, oh no, that 100% my fault. I took it and I edited it and I created a radio edit for it, and then I played the wrong one. So that's why I had to dump out of that. So sorry. I'll play the whole thing later. Later on in the show, I'll make sure I click the right file. So there you go. So that was a little teaser for you. So there you go, John Hopwood. John was especially excited to hear the new song, I think. So sorry about that. Well, if the language wasn't so salty in the lyrics, I wouldn't have to make a radio edit of it now, would I? Anyway, so Brandon Fisher just messaged me. So he'll be joining us at 5 p.m. today via phone. Brandon is the host of a couple of really great podcasts that you can find online that I think are very, very funny. One is called Dead Tube, which is brand new, which has a really unique and original and interesting concept. And the other is called Sack 'em Up Sundays. So Brendan's great. He's going to join us a little bit later on in the show to talk about that. And then tomorrow on the show, I'll be joined in the first hour by author Bill Muckler. He has a book called 2020, A Clear Vision for America. If you want to check that out ahead of time, his website is 2020americabook.com. He is an author, veteran, visionary, entrepreneur, and problem solver. So I really look forward to that conversation tomorrow. So lots of exciting things. So looking at the Facebook live chat here, so we have Patrick Henry is in there. He says, yo, Matt, hello. Candace Johnson, hello. Candace just celebrated a birthday the other day. Let's see. Also, I mentioned John Hopwood is in there. John Hopwood says, Matt Connarton Unleashed needs a tax cut. Le Grande Orange. Carol Becker says they should call this Connor 10 because it's that good, a 10 out of 10. Carol, thank you so much. Carol Becker with my favorite Facebook live chat comment ever. And for that, Carol, you get, I don't have anything to give you, but if I did, I would gladly, we're not giving anything away currently, like sometimes radio stations, we're giving away tickets to Leonard Skinner and 38 Special this Thursday. And we have nothing to give away. I'm sorry, Carol, but thank you so much for the comment. That is lovely. Hopwood says, Trump has no roof. Anonymous GUR agent. GRU rather, not GUR. I think John Hopwood's dyslexia is rubbing off on me. I do fear that I might be suffering from adult onset dyslexia. It's terribly troubling. Candace Johnson says, build the wall. Well, I'm not really into that, Candace. I'd have to respectfully disagree there. But let's see. John Hopwood says, was that John Bolton? I think referring to the track being interrupted. Looks like Brandon Fisher is in the Facebook live chat. Hopwood says, a date with John C. Hopwood. That's a great idea. We're giving away, well, it's already been won. Carol Becker, you, for your great comment, you have just won. I can announce it here on the show. You have just won a date with John C. Hopwood. And I think in this case, what would the C stand for in this case? Trying to think of something. I just thought of something very dirty, which, it is a date after all, but it's not that kind of date. I mean, it's more like what we're going to do is, Carol, we're going to introduce you to John Hopwood, and then you can decide what happens from there. So it's not like a thing where after your date, you have to come on the show and then talk about how it went and all that. No. It's we're going to get you two kids together, and we'll just see what happens. Perhaps love will bloom and blossom. It is springtime. It's the time of year where things begin to bloom and blossom. Let's see. By the way, speaking of time of year, it is March 5th, 2019, and the number to call today is 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. So you can call anytime in the next 45 minutes or so. At the beginning of the top of the hour, we're going to have a guest on the phone with us, but then after that, after we're done with... Well, I don't mean it to sound that way after we're done with him, but you know what I mean. After we've concluded our discussion with Brandon Fisher, we'll resume calls in the second hour. Hopwood says, GRU, greatness of the motherland in your glorious deeds. All right, now I'm beginning to think that John Hopwood is... I think he's going to get swept up in this whole Mueller probe, given what he's posting in the Facebook live chat right now. Sounds very sympathetic to Mother Russia. And let's not forget, and Carol Becker, you should know this before you go out on your date with John Hopwood. John Hopwood happens to be best friends. He's besties with a certain Mr. Roger Stone. So I think we should keep all of this in mind. You might want to, depending on how you feel about John when you meet him, these are things that you'll want to keep in the forefront of your mind. You don't want to get mixed up with someone who turns out is nothing but trouble, if you know what I mean. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's on the line?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Vietnam? My goodness. Oh, is this Patric Henry?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Oh, good morning, Vietnam. Well, is it morning in Vietnam right now?
Yeah, it's 4:13 a.m.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's very early or very late.
Yep, yeah, it's very early in the morning in Vietnam.
Yes.
So you know who this is, right?
This is Adrian Cronauer.
Nope.
I'm kidding, of course.
Patric Henry.
Adrian Cronauer was the DJ that Robin Williams played in the movie Good Morning Vietnam, for those who don't know.
Okay. I haven't watched that movie in a long time, but that is a good movie from what I remember when I was a kid.
That's a great film, yes.
Just wanted to check in and say hello to everybody and make an announcement I'm kind of proud of.
You have an
selling
announcement.
Everything I own in America to move to Vietnam.
You're moving to Vietnam.
And I'm going to be donating half of my annual income to try to make better lives for the Vietnamese.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Patric Henry. You're moving to Vietnam. This is what's your timetable? When are you looking to do that?
Well, I'm doing estate sales. I own properties in 2 different states here, so I got to sell everything.
Yeah.
And once everything's buttoned up, I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Wow. Well, good for you. And of course, your wife is in Vietnam, obviously, right? She's not here with you.
Yeah.
So
she's in Vietnam.
So you'll be able to go
She's a teacher there.
Be with her permanently.
She teaches English. She's actually one of the top Vietnamese English teachers in the world, according to Cambridge University.
Oh, no kidding! Wow. Oh, very good. Well, but you do that too, right? When you're there with her, you help teach kids English.
A little bit. I don't really. Teaching is not my thing, you know.
Oh, okay.
I'm a construction dude, so I just, I'm more rough around the edges, and I've taught a couple classes there to help her, here and there, dipped in to help with things, maybe more than a couple times, but it's not my cup of tea.
Right. Wow. Well, this is big news. Of course, you'll still be able to access the show because they have, I assume they have internet where you'll be, right? Because you were able to access the show. Because before you actually literally called from Vietnam on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
I was in Vietnam, called you at least once I know of. The time difference makes it really difficult, but when you can't sleep at 4 a.m, you call somewhere that's awake, you know?
Yes. Here in the States, of course, at 4 a.m, people usually listen to my other show, Matt Connarton Unsheathed, which, as you know, is only available on the dark web, and I'm legally prohibited from saying how to find it. But no, so that's wonderful, Patrick. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, anyways, wish you guys the best of luck. I don't know why John Hopwood doesn't come in anymore and visit on your show. What's up with that?
Well, he does. He just you just never know when he's going to show up. You know, he likes to be unpredictable. Sometimes he zigs when you think he's going to zag.
Yeah. All right.
Keeps you on your toes.
Good luck with everything. Maybe I'll check in occasionally from Vietnam and let you know how things are going. My main focus will be on helping the afflicted. They get into injury situations, and the social insurance there doesn't cover a lot.
Right.
And I'll be funding a lot of medical procedures and different things with my income that I donate to them. Like I said, try to raise the standard of living. I'm just one person, but, I'll do what I can while I'm there.
Yes. Well, that's fantastic. And, sometimes, it starts with one, and who knows, maybe others will be inspired to do that as well. Good for you. Good for you, my friend. All right.
Okay, well, take care. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right, Patrick Henry is moving to Vietnam. That's, wow, I must tell you, I did not see that coming. What a surprise. Let's see. The Facebook live chat here. Very, very active. So, Candace Johnson says, ConnartonMatch.com. Yes, that's why. Well, I do think that, Candace, if I can use the show to bring people together, and hopefully, if I can, ideally what we'd like to do is marry off John Hopwood, find him a nice girl, and he can go off and be very happy. Hopefully someone with some money. I think that's what Mr. Hopwood needs. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, this is Eric.
Eric Agnon, how are you, sir? Are you calling to mourn the passing of King Kong Bundy?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. The thing I wanted to talk about was I was listening to the replay. I didn't hear the second hour of the morning show with Peter White.
Yes.
And he was talking about videos, and there were the Blockbuster videos there, and going out to get them. And
I do remember Blockbuster videos.
Years ago.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I believe I was still living at my parents' house, and there was a video store across the street from CMC.
Okay.
Are you still there?
Yeah, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, so I returned the video, right, and I get this phone call like a couple days later. It said, "Hey, you didn't return the video," and he started threatening me. So I'm gonna get the cops over here to your house.
Wait, back up. Okay, you're saying that you were threatened. This was obviously a long time ago, right? But you were threatened by you were threatened, like physically threatened by a Blockbuster employee for not returning a video on time?
This was Blockbuster. This was one of those 5 and dime places across the street from the CNC, which was just a local chain.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So, like a long story short, I had to go down there and prove to him that I returned the video, and it was a big, long drama thing. It's like, it was ridiculous. Of course, I never went there again.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eric, I had a sort of a vaguely similar situation. As you know, I used to live, I grew up in Compton, thuggin' and buggin' in Seatown on the West Coast, and I was once shot 6 times for failing to rewind a VHS tape.
Really?
Yeah, no, yes.
I don't think they can actually arrest you for not returning a video.
No, they didn't arrest me. They shot me 6 times.
No, but this guy here was threatening they're going to send the police over to my house. And can they really do that?
Yes, they can. Carol Becker says, did you get that mixed up with Redbox? I don't know if that's for you or for me, Eric.
But anyway, I thought I'd share that crazy story. I forgot all about it till the replay was playing before your show. But anyways, yeah, I had wondered myself about King Kong Bundy, and I went to the library and Googled it. Is he in the Hall of Fame? He's not. What a travesty.
Yeah, no, he should be
King Kong Bundy should be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. Was it WrestleMania 2, I think he wrestled Hogan in the steel cage?
Yeah, just for that match, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he should. Absolutely, King Kong Bundy should be in the Hall of Fame. And
but this week, they're adding to their list of Hall of Famers, and they announced that Torrie Wilson is making a Hall. Hey, come on, Torrie Wilson.
Yeah, that one's a little weak. That is some weak tea, as I believe the British would say.
I know she took it all off of Playboy, and they said, man, appreciates her talent.
I know what you mean there, Eric.
But King Kong Bundy, obviously, wasn't as good looking. I think that's kind of a popularity contest. DX made it.
I was still laughing.
One of his favorites, and Triple H.
Yes. Triple H, when Torrie Wilson
man,
took it off for Playboy,
it's
more like Triple X. Right. Sorry, Eric.
Torrie Wilson, I mean, come on.
I know, Torrie Wilson, right? But
some of those members of DX, I mean, are kind of lame too. X-Pac, I mean, he's not a good wrestler.
Oh, come on. Do you know what happened to X-Pac when he was wrestling an independent match a couple of years ago? He tore something in his posterior and had to be rushed to the emergency room.
Really?
Yes, during a move that he was performing.
Oh, yeah, speaking of wrestling, I'll leave you with this thought. A friend of mine says that, and I don't know if it's true, but I find it probably true with the world of wrestling. He says that Roman Reigns faked his cancer to make a movie.
God, no.
And now he's back, and
not.
Surprisingly, the cancer is gone. Do you believe that?
That's absurd. No, he didn't fake anything. No, they would not do that. That's at 100% real.
He's almost certain. He says that Roman Reigns faked the.
No.
They had him fake it, so to excuse his absence while he made a movie.
No.
Now, by a miracle, he's back.
First of all, I can't believe they would do that. Second of all, WWE is a publicly traded company. If they really did something like that, that would be so much.
This is my friend's theory at work.
Well, your friend at work. You tell your friend at work that Mr. Matt Connarton Unleashed himself says that he's full of malarkey, and I don't know who even says malarkey anymore. That's how ridiculous I find his theory. But I'm saying it.
Yeah, I hope that's not true, because that would be really rotten to do that for people that are really suffering from cancer.
And you make sure, Eric, you tell him malarkey with a capital M. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, in all caps.
Well, he tells me now he doesn't want to talk about wrestling at work anymore. He says I bring it up too much, so I better not.
He says that you bring it up too much?
Yeah, he goes, I want to talk about something else.
How often do you bring it up?
All right, wrestling free zone.
Do you bring it up every day?
Sometimes. I think he's
do you
want to talk about
do you bring it up more than once? More than once in a day?
No, not more than once.
Just kind of once, like once a day.
Maybe you get tired of hearing about it.
Is it literally once a day,
about something else,
or is it more like every other day?
Sometimes I've been known to be a pest. Sometimes, yeah, I know you find it hard to believe.
I find that shocking, Eric. But is it more? Is it like
yeah, so,
3 times a week?
Rest in peace, and I'll clear up.
Rest in peace.
Up the line for somebody else.
Eric, I'm not dead.
Have a great show.
All right, thank you, Eric. All right, Eric Gagnon. I'm not sure why he told me rest in peace. I'm clearly still alive. I mean, I got shot 6 times in Compton, but clearly I'm still with you. You know who is not still with us, of course, as we covered on the show yesterday. We had that. I played that audio of Michelle Malkin talking about the ghost of John McCain, but that was something yesterday. Of course, you never know when John McCain. Oh, my goodness. You never know when John McCain might haunt you. So a lot going on in the Facebook live chat. So it sounds like, and this is great news for John Hopwood, it sounds like Carol Becker very excited to go on a date with Mr. Hopwood. Although she's concerned, she says he will be subpoenaed. Like I said, Mr. Hopwood, best friends with Roger Stone. I think they're fishing buddies. And may in fact be roommates. Let's see. And she says, I'm going on a date with John. Sounds like fun. Well, let's not speak too soon. Hopwood says, to have no roof in Russian lingo means recklessly brave. Oh, excuse me. Recklessly brave, a ballsy man of action who's catnip to women. Yes, I believe that is in John Hopwood's Facebook bio. Carol says, will you be taking any other calls today? I thought we might get into some other current events today. We will be getting into some other current events, Carol.
I'm John McCain.
I believe this studio is being haunted. Thanks to Michelle Malkin by the ghost of John McCain, by the way. Carol says, where can we find that stream? I would like to see Connarton Unsheathed. Yeah, Carol, I'm legally prohibited from telling you how to find that show. All I can say is Googling it will not help you, but there are other things you can do. Let's see. Candace said, I guess Redbox had sent. Oh, I guess, yeah, Candace had gotten a big bill from someone. I don't know if it's Redbox or Blockbuster for a video. Yeah, well, I mean, that pales to what happened to me. Carol says, big fan of Pizza Hut. If you don't mind going there, John. There you go, Pizza Hut. Here's what I would suggest. Now, Carol, I don't want to dampen your enthusiasm for the date, but as John himself has said here on the show, not necessarily a man of great means. So I'm thinking, yeah, Pizza Hut, you go for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. I think you'll have a lovely time. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Mac? Mac, is it you?
You're looking for Rick?
Mac?
Oh, Matt.
Is that you? Oh, it is.
This sounds like, is this Melania?
Yes, I have to keep going very
No,
low.
we haven't heard from you in a while, Melania. How are you? Why do you have to keep your voice down?
I've been locked up.
You've been locked up or knocked up? What did you say?
My hubby can be so mean.
Oh,
so mean to me.
your husband has locked you up. That explains why we haven't seen you recently.
Yeah, he's afraid ICE come get me and deport.
ICE is going to deport you? My goodness. Now, I would think, Melania, as the president's wife, as first lady of our nation, you might, there might be a loophole there or something.
I don't know about loophole, man.
Well, it's just...
People so mean to my husband.
I know. Well, who's mean to your... Well, ICE is nice to your husband, right? He's very pro-ICE. I mean, can't he do an executive order or something that says you get to stay? I mean, you're his wife.
Oh, Nick. And Mitch McConnell. He's no good, Nick.
Well, Mitch McConnell, yeah, I mean, he's a little, he's kind of like a turtle, like a turtle man, that Mitch McConnell.
His wife, she what you call the fly.
Right, yes.
Senator Obama talks about change, but clearly he has no record of it.
Oh, the ghost of John McCain chiming in.
What's that here?
I'm sorry, what? Oh, that was,
Bad man, Nick.
what?
He's bad man.
Who is Mitch McConnell?
He crashed his airplane, Nick.
Are you talking about Mitch McConnell or are you talking about your husband?
I talk about that Johnny McCain.
Oh, John McCain, yes.
With Melania.
The ghost of John McCain, obsessed with Melania. Michelle Malkin warned us about the ghost of John McCain, and now he's here in the studio with us. It's quite shocking.
I'm very happy with where we are.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Nick,
guess he's not going to be leaving.
I'm in the bathroom at Air Force 2.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm hiding, Nick.
You're hiding?
Absolutely not.
Where are you hiding,
Oh,
Melania?
my God, what's that?
That was the ghost of John McCain. What do you think?
Oh, Nick, don't tell me that Air Force 2 is haunted. That's terrible, man.
Carol Becker says she doesn't... Oh, Melania hung up. Carol Becker says she doesn't get this joke, but Carol, obviously you're distracted by thoughts of Mr. Hopwood. Patrick Henry says, better bring her own money, LOL. Yes, well, I don't know if you're referring to the John McCain thing, but yesterday, Carol, I played some audio of Michelle Malkin at CPAC talking about the ghost of John McCain. And apparently now he's here in the studio. Carol says this is really awful to listen to. I know what you mean. I also very deeply disturbed by hearing the turmoil that Melania apparently is going through, if that really was her. And of course, I'm also very frightened to have a ghost here in the studio with us.
I'm John McCain.
That's also very deeply distressing. So 603-250-6007 is the number to call. Hello to Fred Bonig, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, it's Melania again.
Oh, Melania, you sound much better. You sound calmed down. You sound, is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine now. I just
Absolutely
wanted to call
not.
back and continue my very funny prank call that was very well thought out and very good.
Well, so wait a minute. So are you suggesting, Melania, that you're actually calling back and but before calling back, you put some thought into what you're doing and that's why you're speaking in an audible tone with which I and the audience can hear you and all that? Is that what you're suggesting, Melania?
Yeah, and I just wanted to get all of my accolades for my very funny prank call, and
Yes.
I also wanted to ask, I was curious if I could please get a large pepperoni, you fuck.
Oh, that was, yes, that was, I don't know if I need to bother to hit the dump button. I kind of cut him off before he got the swear out. I suspected what was going on there. That's a friend of ours who likes to call, and he's doing this. He's combining the food ordering with the swearing because he's, super clever and all that. So I don't know if the ghost of John McCain would approve of that there, friend.
Absolutely not.
All right. So, let's see. We do have a myriad of things. Like I said, Brandon Fisher is going to be calling in at 5 p.m. Really looking forward to that. Meanwhile, it does look like I was looking for an excuse to play a Winger song to open the show. Winger was my first concert, so I played State of Emergency. It looks like the vote is not going to be going Trump's way, my friends. As far as his emergency declaration and so forth, Mitch McConnell has said it does look like the Senate will vote against it, and there's enough Republicans to vote against Trump's emergency declaration. But they don't have enough, I don't think, to override a veto. So Trump will be able to veto it. So he's going to get, I think he's going to get his, his declaration. Now, I mean, it'll still get tied up in court and all of that. But I'm kind of looking for something. I had something that talked about the latest in that. Let's see. So Mitch McConnell, here we go from thehill.com. McConnell eyes Trump and Rand Paul and re-election when it comes to emergency fight. And it's just interesting because McConnell, obviously the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, but he had said on the day that the emergency declaration was announced that he supported the president in this. So here's the latest from the Hill. It says, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, needs the support of President Trump and Senator Rand Paul, also Republican of Kentucky, to win re-election next year, meaning he must rely on two men at opposite sides of the debate over the use of an emergency declaration to build a wall on the southern border. Now, before we go any further, let me just say this. I think he needs Trump. Again, I'm not a big fan of the wall and all this, but I think just in terms of a pure political analysis, I think he needs Trump far, far more than he needs Rand Paul. If you go against Trump, you'll anger the base and he's not going to end up on the right side of that. So I think probably, and there's more to this obviously, but before we go any further, I would just say that I think he probably is better off sticking with Trump, right? And his wife, Elaine Chao, does work for Trump. She's the oh my God, I'm blanking on transportation, right? Elaine Chao. She's the Secretary of Transportation in the Trump administration. So it says here, the cautious GOP leader who routinely suffers from poor approval ratings in his home state never takes political outcomes for granted and always tries to minimize uncertainty. That means he can't afford public fights with Trump or Paul, who are both more popular with the GOP base. The political reality helps explain McConnell's careful moves in the showdown between Republicans and Trump over the president's emergency declaration for the wall. McConnell has been careful not to criticize Trump and has even offered his support, even though he admitted last week that he wasn't certain whether it was an entirely constitutional, an argument that is coming from Rand Paul. Rand Paul is saying constitutionally he can't do this. The Libertarian senator over the weekend, he's sort of quasi-libertarian. He's more... Sometimes that word libertarian is a little bit misused, right? I mean, his dad is more of a libertarian. Rand Paul is sort of this quasi-libertarian conservative. But over the weekend said he would vote for a resolution of disapproval of Trump's emergency declaration, giving it majority support in the Senate. He argues the president is contradicting the will of Congress with his actions. McConnell, a traditionalist who opposed former President Obama's extensive use of executive authority, has at times seemed to signal strong sympathy for such arguments. But his reelection strategy is to leave no daylight between himself and Trump, right, who has a 53% approval rating in Kentucky, the ninth highest of any state in the country, according to a recent Gallup poll. Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. What does he need Rand Paul for? I don't think and also, just kind of thinking forward a little bit, is Rand Paul, what's going to happen if he sides against with Rand Paul on this vote? I'm sure it's happened on other things, right? I can think of several things where they have probably have not voted exactly the same, because Rand Paul does, at times, sort of go a more of a libertarian way, and McConnell is more your standard mainstream conservative Republican. But is Rand Paul not taking the same position on this vote, voting the same on this issue? Is that really going to damage McConnell down the road? Is Rand Paul, I guess what I'm saying is, how does this affect the support or the perceived report of McConnell by Rand Paul in the future, to the point where it would be any political danger to McConnell when running for re-election? Because of this, what is Rand Paul going to turn around and start publicly trashing Mitch McConnell when McConnell's up for re-election? No. So I don't really, the more I think about it, I don't see any risk at all for McConnell politically to stick with Trump on this. Candace Johnson says he doesn't. Paul likes being in the spotlight all the time. Well, Rand Paul, it's funny, you mentioned that, and I think that's true of most politicians, by the way. But I remember it was a few years ago now. It almost seems like a lifetime ago in some respects. It was before the 2016 election. But Rand Paul was on the cover of, was it Time? I think it was Time magazine. And they called him the most interesting politician in America. And he was expected to be a major force in 2016. I remember at the time thinking it would be fascinating. I used to say this back when I did the TV show. I used to say this all the time. I thought it would be fascinating to have Rand Paul as the Republican nominee versus Hillary Clinton as the Democratic nominee, because traditionally in previous elections, it had usually been, you've got the in terms of foreign policy, you've got the hawk is the Republican and the dove is the Democrat. Obviously, that's a hypersimplification, but that tends to be, the Republican is going to be more pro-war and more in favor of an aggressive, forward-leaning foreign policy, and the Democrat's going to be in favor of more restraint. But in the case of the libertarian-esque, we'll say that, Rand Paul, who's not a big fan of intervention, these military interventions. I mean, I've seen him sort of contort and twist himself into being in favor of certain things at certain times that his own father, much more libertarian, much more anti-war, certain things his own father probably does not and would not approve of, right? But overall, much more sort of anti-war, whereas Hillary Clinton, I've always said, from my perspective, she's essentially a neocon. I think she would have been very comfortable on the foreign policy team of the George W. Bush administration. So I think it would have been interesting to see that dynamic sort of flipped, to the extent that that dynamic still exists. Now, in many ways, you could argue that dynamic doesn't hold anymore anyway, because, you know, I mean, you know, you can watch MSNBC, the so-called liberal network, and see these alleged liberals saying some very pro-war sounding things, right? But that's because they're part of the, you know, corporate media, big media, which has to be effectively pro-war because they're in business with the, you know, they're a part of the military-industrial complex, big media. You know, that's why, I mean, I've talked about it all the time. That's why it's not, I mean, Fox will be more overt about it, right? And MSNBC, because they're appealing to a liberal audience, they'll try to be a little more stealth about it, but it's still not hard to figure out. I mean, I've used these examples many times. Even on MSNBC, when Rachel Maddow is bringing on someone like retired Colonel Jack Jacobs or retired General Barry McCaffrey or whomever, you know, to talk about foreign policy. And what do they always talk about? They talk, you know, what's the answer to war as far as these guys are concerned? Well, it's always more war. Oh, there's war going on. Well, we need more war to do something about this war, right? And she's never going to say, as she's introducing them, and by the way, in the interest of full disclosure, so-and-so here does sit on the board of Lockheed Martin, or so-and-so here does make quite a bit of money being involved with Raytheon or whomever, you know, these weapons manufacturers, because war is a business. So we've kind of seen a real blurring of the lines there where, you know, when Trump, and I agreed with him on this, although it appears now it's absolutely not happening, right? He's completely flipped on this as far as I can tell, and we'll get to this later in the show. But it does appear that Trump is now not pulling out of Syria at all, which is too bad because it was something I was able to give him credit for. You know, I'm at odds with Trump on many things, but I try to be fair and give credit where it's due, and I applauded when he said we're getting out of Syria. But now, Fred just shared a link in the Facebook live chat. There's a very nice picture of him with Rand Paul. You guys almost look alike in that photo, like you could be related. It's interesting. Fred, are you related to Rand Paul? Are you a member of the Paul family? Anyway, no, that's a very nice picture. And Rand Paul has taken some positions where I've certainly supported him. You know, I like the anti-war stuff when he chooses to show that side of himself, which he sometimes fails to do. There's some great. Fred's got a lot of great pictures, by the way, on his Facebook. He spends a lot of time in Washington, D.C. covering these politicians. But there has been quite a blurring between the two parties, right? In the sense that they're pretty much all pro-war at this point, right? You know, it really, so the whole, you know, the Republicans are the hawks and the Democrats are the doves. It doesn't hold up the way that it used to. I mean, there is still some. Tulsi Gabbard, the Democrat from Hawaii who has announced her candidacy, who John Hopwood is very enthusiastic about. You know, she's been saying some very anti-war things, which is great. And by the way, the mainstream media is doing everything they can to almost completely ignore her and discredit her at every turn, while she's saying things that are overtly pro-war. Which is interesting, because they were when she first announced, I saw a lot of enthusiasm. She's young, she's attractive, let's be honest, that plays a role, right? I saw quite a bit of enthusiasm out there. Then she started going on these shows and saying these very anti-war things. And now she's being ignored. Now, I don't know if that's related. It may not be. It's a very, very crowded field, right? A lot of Democrats have already gotten in. So it may just be, you know, people don't know who she is. You know, she's from that state out in the Pacific, right? You know, maybe she just, you know, I mean, I've read some things online about, you know, she doesn't really have her organization together in terms of her campaign. But is that true, or is that spin to discredit her? I don't know. It may not have anything to do with anything, her being so anti-war. It truly may not, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that, because it's already a very crowded field, and we already have some big names who inevitably suck a lot of oxygen out of the room. Hillary Clinton is not running. She said she's definitely not running, but we have some definitelys who are pretty big names, and we have some maybes / probablys. like Joe Biden. And you're going to end up with, which is great because I think it's fun this way, because the more chaotic, the better. I love the chaos of it all. You're going to end up with the same thing that we saw in the Republican primaries in 2016. You're going to have these debates where you have to have two debates. You got to have the kids' table, right, for the candidates that are not so that are not doing that well in the polls, right? And then you're going to have the main event. You're going to have to. Some people hate that and think that, it should all be one big debate. And it's like, well, unless you want to have a battle royal and they're just throwing each other out of a wrestling ring, which would be exciting, then, what else can you practically do? You can only have so many people in a damn debate. Let's see. Candace Johnson says in the Facebook live chat, only a couple hundred left and air support to clean the mess up. Referring to Syria, I think. Fred says, no, but my brother Peter and my sister Mary are. Oh, related to you, Fred? Well, I would hope so. Unless you're saying they're related to Rand Paul. Candace Johnson says, Trump didn't start that BS. Not sure which BS you're referring to. Stephen Philbrook, welcome in the Facebook live chat. Carol says they should have one debate for the Democrats, then Trump gets to speak for an hour after. Well, Trump would speak for 2.5 hours, judging from his CPAC speech. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Slimy Bung.
Slimy Bung?
You got it. Slimy Bung.
Where are you from, Slimy Bung?
Slimy Bung.
Okay. Thank you. All right, there you have it. That was Slimy Bung, ladies and gentlemen. There's a joke in there, but I don't want to get in trouble. Oh, Fred says Peter, Paul, and Mary. Oh, yes. Where have all the flowers gone? That's Peter, Paul, and Mary, right? I get it now. Took me a minute. I'm a little slow sometimes. Well, what can I say? I'm a talk show host. Let's see. Oh, Carol Becker in the Facebook live chat says Slimy Bung. Carol's a fan of Slimy Bung. I am too, actually. I mean, the name alone. You had me at Bung. What can I say? I don't know what I mean by that. Let's see. What time have we got? So we got a little bit of time. We will... I am going to play that. No, actually, I'm going to hold off on that because we'll do that another day because I want to make sure I play the right one. I'll wait until John Hopwood is here to play the Potomac River song. Perry M. Durant says, what is a slimy bung? Well, that's different than a slimy bung there, Perry, if that is your real name. Or maybe it's Jerry. Or maybe it's neither. So this is from Mediaite.com. Trump reportedly told lawmakers he agrees 100% with keeping military presence in Syria. Now, to be fair, keeping a presence is not the same as keeping all the troops there that are currently there. So, we'll keep an open mind about this. Carol says, wait, I'm confused. What even is a slimy bung? Well, Carol, I don't know what that is, but I have a feeling, I got a feeling that if I went to UrbanDictionary.com and looked it up, I would find something truly horrifying that I don't even want to know exists. That's what typically happens in these situations. It says here, Trump's announcement of all U.S. troops leaving Syria back in December concerned a number of lawmakers, including some Republicans. Last month, the White House announced a small peacekeeping group of about 200 troops would remain in Syria, unquote, and lawmakers sent a letter to the president applauding the move. But the letter, signed by Senators Lindsey Graham and Sheldon Whitehouse, among others, emphasizes that they support, quote, a small contingent of American forces, unquote, remaining in Syria to, quote, ensure stability and prevent the return of ISIS, unquote. Per NBC News, the president responded with a message written on the letter saying, I agree 100%, all is being done. unquote. After Trump's December announcement, Graham had said such a move, quote, would be a huge Obama-like mistake, unquote. Defense Secretary James Mattis resigned following the announcement. Fred Bonig posted a link in the Facebook live chat that our friend Perry says is very helpful. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think a couple things. There's a Wikipedia link, how to clean a bong. I don't know if it's a bong or a bung. I don't know what we're talking about, Fred, to be honest with you. Let's see. Perry says, thank you for sharing the helpful link. Christian Cunard joins us in the Facebook live chat. Oh, and I see Jenny in there, too. And we all also are joined here in the studio by, who are you today, sir?
The guy who won the
date?
It's not the newlywed the dating game.
Yes, yes. Carol Becker says, too messy if you have to clean it. Boy, well.
Isn't that what Glenn Joliet of Joliet Street said? I was just up. He was, he's got his own half-hour show now. He's up stairs with him.
Oh, very exciting. Very exciting.
He's kind of, talk about that macaca.
Carol says you can use a bung for making beers. Bungs and airlocks.
Bung or bong?
Well, it's really, you know what it is, John Hopwood? It's the classic debate between bungs and bongs. I mean,
buns and bongs?
No, bungs and bongs. And they all, look, let's be honest, they all have to be cleaned at some point, right? Am I right?
But bong water, you could weaponize it.
Yeah. And what about, hey, don't go giving ISIS any ideas.
What's ISIS?
And what about bung water? That's even worse.
Are you talking about the lower level Republican?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
We're being haunted by the ghost of John McCain. You can thank Michelle Malkin for that.
I got to say something. I was driving my car. Those were the two worst Melania Trump imitations I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
Something's happened.
Which of the two do you think was worse? I think probably the first one. Would you agree?
Definitely
the first one was
bad.
Really bad. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
Mm-hmm, yep. The ghost of John McCain agrees. It's actually the virtual ghost of John McCain, though, not the actual ghost of John McCain.
Why, he's never been in this building?
Well, I'm trying to book Michelle Malkin on the show, so I'm trying to lure her in by thinking that the ghost of John McCain is here with us, but it's actually the virtual ghost of John McCain.
Why do you think John McCain's a hero? That's really strange to hear that John McCain is a hero.
No, clearly not. He was captured. What a loser. No, I think he was a hero.
Yeah, up until that was a person that was a prisoner of war. That wasn't considered honorable. The only reason Nixon made a big thing of him is because what else was there in the Vietnam? There was nothing else.
Stefan Philbrook says, bung bung, bun bun, bum. And Heidi Hamer joins us in the Facebook live chat.
When Trump's progenitor, well, God, that was Drumpf, the KKK member.
Oh, my goodness.
Member of the German-American Bund, so let's not go there.
Right.
At least Dutch was a liberal Democrat during the war, and he served keeping Culver City free from the Japanese. And
by the way, Perry says John McCain was an American patriot, and he kept his bung dry and clean.
His bung, not his bong?
I don't know if he did that while he was at the...
A bung is something you knock into like a keg of wine or
I'm sure he tried
beer.
to keep it dry and clean, but he was in the Hanoi Hilton for quite some time.
The only reason John McCain got into the academy and then didn't get thrown out, and then he was a horrifyingly bad pilot, cashiered, was because his father was Bull Halsey's second in command.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, Matt. This is the real John Hopwood. The man you have in your room there with you today, that's an imposter.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
sounds like it's not Q, is it?
I did notice
he's a cyborg made by the U.S. government to infiltrate your radio show.
I did notice he was short-circuiting when he walked in. I saw some sparks flying out of his skull.
Yeah, watch for the twitch in his neck. You need to take him out before he gets all the intel.
I'm going to take him out with I'm going to throw some bung water on him and watch him disintegrate.
Yeah. And I'll be on my date with that sweet little gal that I talked to earlier, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Oh, please do. I want all the salacious details in order.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, just remember, keep it hush-hush with the imposter.
I will. Thank you, sir. All right. The real John Hopwood.
Mechanical Man.
For all I know, that could have been the first time I've ever even interacted with the real John Hopwood.
Do you know one of Charles Manson's songs was called Mechanical Man?
Whose song?
Charles Manson.
Oh.
He was a musician. The Beach Boys, one of his songs or a couple of songs, they put on some albums.
Oh.
He used to supply Dennis Wilson with some girls, as they used to call them.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
You don't know much about Charles Manson?
You know, I was never much of a Manson file. So to
what kind
speak.
of Granite Stater are you?
Though I do enjoy Helter Skelter by the Beatles. I think that's a great song.
It's an unusual song.
I think it's a great song.
It's a heavy metal song. It's the first heavy metal song.
That's why I love it. Although some would say "You Really Got Me" by the Kinks is the first heavy metal song, but slightly different metrics. Let's. It's the top of the hour. Let's play this. When we come back, we'll get our guest on the phone. Brandon Fisher is going to be joining us, but Fred shared this song. I don't know this song, so I'm anxious to hear it. Fred always sends us good stuff by Tom Paxton. It's called Talkin' Vietnam Potluck Blues. Oh, and you know what? Tying it all together, earlier in the show, Patrick Henry called and announced he's moving to Vietnam.
Are you going to put it on the wall?
There you go. It's all about Vietnam today. Yes, I'll put it on the wall. All right, here we go. This is Tom Paxton talking Vietnam Potluck Blues. You're listening to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Don't go anywhere. Oops, if I can get this to play. Here we go.
Ever hear about the time Big Jim went head-to-head with a tornado?
Hey, thanks, Big Jim.
Got you covered.
What are we supposed to do with this?
Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee unleashed a sprawling probe of President Trump's family, campaign, and administration on Monday.
That's not what was supposed to happen. Something else is playing, and I think I know what it is. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody who was, I know John Hopwood was anxious to hear that song. Hang on. We have a call. Let's grab this call. This might be our guest a little bit early. We'll try that again in a second. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this? No, I'm having all kinds of technical issues. Try again, caller. Let's see. I'm going to back this up, and we're going to try this again. I think I had too many things open here. Let's see. All right, here we go. This is Tom Paxton.
Saigon. They shaped us up and called the roll, and off we went on a long patrol. Swapping lines, swapping flies, firing the odd shot here and there. The captain called a halt that night, and we had chow by the pale moonlight. A lovely dinner they planned for us with a taste like a seat on a crosstown bus. Some of the veterans just left theirs laying in the cans for the Viet Cong to find, deadlier than a landmine. Naturally, somebody told a joke, and a couple other fellas began to smoke. I took a whiff as the cloud rolled by, and my nose went up like an infield fly. The captain, this blonde fella from Yale, he looked at me and said, "What's the matter with you, baby?" Well, I may be crazy, but I think not. I'd swear to God that I smell pot. Who'd have pot in Vietnam? He said, "What do you think you've been sitting on? These funny little plants. Thousands of them. Good God Almighty. Pastures of plenty." So we all lit up, and by the whole platoon was flying high. With a beautiful smile on the captain's face, he smelled like midnight on St. Mark's Place. Cleaning his weapon, chanting something about Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The moment came as it comes to all when I had to answer nature's call. I was stumbling around in a beautiful haze when I met a little cat in black PJs. Rifle, ammo belt, BF Goodrich sandals. He looked up at me and said, "What's the matter with you, baby?" He said, "We're camping down the pass and smell you people blowing grass. And since by the smell you're smoking trash, I brought you a taste of a special stash. Straight from Uncle Ho's Victory Garden, we call it Hanoi Gold." So his squad and my squad.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to get out of that. The recording qualities of it's kind of poor, but you're listening to Matt Connarton Unleashed. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, and joining us via phone, I believe our guest is here. Is this Brandon Fisher?
This is. How we doing, Matt?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's great to talk to you. John Hopwood is here with us as well.
Hi.
And so, Brandon, I'm anxious to talk to you because you've got a couple of really interesting podcasts online that people can check out. And I wanted to talk about the new one first because it's called DeadTube, and it's such an interesting and unique concept. When I first found out about it, I was like, what's this? This is really cool. But why don't you tell us about what that is, DeadTube?
Yeah, sure. The DeadTube podcast is essentially what it is. It's a radio play show that I'll take the scripts from old television sitcoms, like anything from like the 70s on to recent days. Like we've done Seinfeld, Arrested Development, Home Improvement, whatnot, and I'll have people reenact them, but I'll turn them into horror stories. So, like, I'll take a script from Seinfeld, like we did the Soup Nazi was our first one, and you add some horrifying music in the background and modulate the voices a little bit and change the story a little to just add that little bit of an extra creepy touch to it.
Yeah. No, I think that's really it's something that I never would have thought of. I mean, what gave you that idea? I mean, is it something that just sort of occurred to you, or was there something that kind of put that?
I have those kind of weird random thoughts all the time, but I like watching those old shows, and like I'll look at the wackiness that all those characters had, and I'd be like, oh my god, like in another world, like Ned Flanders would be the ultimate serial killer,
right?
But no one wants to tell that story, so I figured maybe I could find some way to make that happen. And I thought, I love radio plays and audio books and ways it's audio. Storytelling, so I figured it'd be a good way to try something out with it.
Yeah. You ever listen to those old, here on WMNH on Sundays, they play all these old radio shows, and it's all these radio plays from, some from the 70s and some from much earlier, and it's really interesting. I mean, you ever listen to those really early ones?
Well, I have. It's been a little bit since I've dabbled in the old-timey radio plays. But I do have an appreciation for them. Lately, it's been a lot of like podcasts that sort of tell like those scary stories. Like I listen to a lot of the No Sleep podcast to get a lot of inspiration for it, and sort of give me an idea of like how to go about it. Because it's a great idea, but once you dive into it, it's way more work than I anticipated it would be.
Now, tell us about that, because I'm always interested in the process that people go through to do these things. I mean, when you say it turned out to be. And we'll talk about the other show in a minute, but when you say it turned out to be a lot more work than you were expected, what do you mean exactly? Like, what is it about it that like with so many things in life that we endeavor to do, it seems like everything turns out to be more work than we really expect. But what turned out to be more work about it?
Oh well, I mean, I'm not complaining about it at all. But once you have the idea, you got to find the script, and then once you find the script, you got to find the appropriate cast that's going to fill all those players. And you got to make sure everyone reads their lines the right way, and make sure that everyone has all their lines. First off, I've done a couple episodes where people missed a bunch of their stuff, and trying to get back in touch with them to re-record everything was a hassle. And then you got to get the right mood or atmosphere setting music, and I try to incorporate a lot of Foley sound effects, so when the time comes, I got to find the right spot to put it in. and before you know it, you got like 60, 70 tracks on like this 25-minute episode.
No doubt. John had a question.
Where do you find the scripts? I know you can find movie scripts very easily, but I've never seen a TV script online. Then again, I never looked for one.
Well, there are a couple sites that I'll go through. Google's a great source of info for it, but a lot of the ones that I've been looking into lately, I've been having a hard time doing, and I really want to do these episodes in particular. So, like, what I'll actually do now is if I can't find it online, I'll actually watch that episode again and write out my own sort of transcript.
Yeah.
Which, again, it takes a little bit more time and work into doing it, but I'm also starting to tweak the stories as well so that it caters to more of a scary genre. So that gives me a little bit more of a chance to work freely with it.
Yeah.
I remember Mad Magazine, which I grew up in the early 70s. That's when I became a teenager, 1973. I was the same age as Richie Cunningham on Happy Days. We were going through school at the same time, seemingly. It was enough to give up TV forever in 1975. But they used to have parodies of TV shows. And at one point, My Three Sons, which was a big show with the baby boom, they brought in, somebody got married and they had triplets. And so in the show, Uncle Charlie is senile. And in one of the scenes, he has... wrap the kids up in like grape leaves or something. He's putting them in the oven, and they're saying, "Wait, do you think Charlie's losing, his mind?" And he's like, paprika. He's putting stuff on the kids.
Yeah,
and he's going to put them in the oven.
I remember those too because
it was so funny.
Because when I was a kid, Mad Magazine was still around. I think it's still around today, even. When I was a kid, it wasn't as big as when you were a kid. And then there was also another magazine called Cracked, which was kind of a knockoff of Mad, and they would do those
parodies.
Those parodies as well, yeah. And some of them were pretty good.
At the time, they had some of the great artists, cartoonists, Mort Drucker and Jim Davis, and they were just hilarious because they'd actually like Maude. I remember that. And they got this. The brat kid says, "What are you up?" Adrienne Barbeau, with the cleavage hanging out in the. Which this was exciting in 13. It wasn't pornography except for your snatching your father's Playboy or something.
Right.
He said, "What are you mad about?" He says, "I'm the only one here that's not divorced."
Yeah.
But it always spoke to what was really like the undercurrent in these shows being so loopy.
Yeah, and some of the humor would be really shocking, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. So now, is this something that you're gonna continue to do long term, like every week, or
the Brady Bunch?
Oh, that'd
be
a good one.
Well, right now I'm working on I guess since it's all television related, I was going to refer to it as season 1, where I get like a collection of 10 episodes together. Yeah. But then this is a new idea, and I kind of jumped into it without having any sort of prep work. So I do want to continue it, but I want to figure out a better way of going about it. And I'm assembling a sort of small crew together that's helping me rewrite scripts and get actors together and whatnot. So the next season is going to be way better than this one, but I do plan on continuing it for as long as I can.
Yeah.
There's always actors, like if you're in a place like Los Angeles or even smaller, but San Francisco, Boston, there's always actors, and they always are willing to do table reads.
Sure.
Or if you got a space together.
Where are you from, Brandon? Are you? I have no idea where you're from. I just realized.
I live out in North Carolina. I'm about 30 minutes from Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there's actors everywhere. I mean,
North Carolina had a movie industry for a long time.
It's a matter of finding someone that's like reliable and and free. Like they don't. I can't pay anybody right now.
Right.
Anyone that's wanting to do some free voiceover work that's consistent, and the main problem is getting people not to do silly reads.
Right.
I'll get so many people sending me stuff where it's not supposed to be a comedy, even though it's a comedy script, and all those kinks will get worked out.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a thing. I think I was talking about Matt's show. There was a great soft porno director called Russ Meyer who influenced a lot of people because they were just such satires on America.
Yeah.
And one of his biggest hit that wasn't actually like softcore porn was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And Roger Ebert wrote the script.
Yeah.
He just started becoming a critic like 1967, and he actually liked Russ Meyer, one of his movies, and they got together. And actors would come up to him because 20th Century Fox decided to make a movie because the movie he made, Vixen, made a fortune, and he made movies for hardly any money. And all the actors come up and says, "This is a comedy, right?" He says, "This is a comedy. We're supposed to be," and no, you have to play it straight. And one of the actors who Jonathan Demme picked up and is in all his movies said, "My God, this stuff is, it's funny, but he makes us like it's Eugene O'Neill." But that's why it was so funny because he insisted everybody play it straight, and he would never admit to them that it was supposed to be a comedy.
Well, that's like The Room. What's his name? Tommy Wiseau. It's like they had to play it straight because to him it wasn't funny. Of course,
but this was it was a satire. But by playing it utterly straight, it's just even more ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the other show, Patrick. I mean, Brandon, rather. I'm looking at a comment from Patrick in the Facebook live chat. That's why I'm thinking Patrick. Tell us about the other show that you do, Sack 'em Up Sundays. This one's been around for a while, right?
Well, it's been around for about 4 or 5 months now. I'm about 22, 23 episodes into it.
Yeah.
It's just an all nonsense comedy show I do with this guy I actually get my weed from, and we just he'll come over when he drops off his stuff, and we'll start the conversations out sober. And there's no real format to it. It's just us, talking crap. I ask him a lot of random hypothetical questions. He's a bit of a religious fanatic, so I like to ask him things that try to get him as uncomfortable as possible.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just silly stuff, like what superheroes would you put in a human centipede, or if you could travel back in time and put one band somewhere, who would you put? Just random stupid things like that, and it's just a good time.
Oh, that's great.
You should do that script, the human centipede.
Well, that's already.
I do want to do movies when the time comes, but I feel like I think I can make Human Centipede a lighthearted comedy.
The Human Centipede is one of those movies that I literally wish I did not know existed. You know what I mean?
And there's a sequel too. I didn't see the sequel.
There's a sequel to Human Centipede?
Oh yeah.
There's 2 sequels.
There's 2 sequels?
Yeah, I thought the first one was pretty funny. It's just gross out of concept. And then you watch the second one, and the second one gets a little bit, that's a little too extreme.
What is
and then
it?
The third one is just ridiculously stupid.
What is it like? The second one, like Human Millipede or something? Like what? Like
somebody
sees the movie. That's what they do. It's like, how can you make it more extreme? We'll just add more people onto it.
Oh, it's so awful. I just don't even. Anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, look it up, but do so at your peril.
A German surgeon creates a conjoined triplet. Let's put it that way.
Oh, boy. I don't even want to think about it. Oh, my goodness. Wow. So I'm fascinated by the concept for Sack 'em Up Sundays. So your friend that you do this with, does he ever get upset and threaten to quit the show or anything? Or how does that, like, what's the dynamic like?
He'll get a little upset, and I can tell when I'm getting him a little too offended. So I'll back off a little bit because I do want to keep him on.
Right.
And I'm not big on the whole religious discussions on it, but it adds some comedic content to it. So because I'm going to be honest with you, he doesn't really know what he's talking about. So I just let him ramble on for a little bit.
Yeah. It's all right. I caught it.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah. Oh, I have to use the dump button quite a bit on this show. Even with Mr. Hopwood over there, I've had to.
I got suspended for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Because there's also a TV it's broadcast.
Yeah.
The dump button.
He has a bit of a potty mouth, this guy over here. But...
Oh yeah, well that was the one thing I was concerned about coming on here. I was like, it's going to be an FM show. I got to keep my mouth under control.
That's right,
and you do.
Yes, no, you've done very well. Like I said, I mean we're on a delay, and that's why. So so tell us for our listeners where they can find these shows. I mean, obviously, I assume they're up on iTunes and wherever you find your podcasts, etc.
Oh yeah, I mean it's iTunes, Stitcher, Castbox, Podbean, anywhere where you listen to your podcast platforms that you can find us there.
Yeah.
Both shows are part of the Drama City Productions network over at dramacityproductions.com. You can check us out there, subscribe, give us those reviews, ratings. There's a bunch of other great shows on that network too. They're definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. I was looking at that site, by the way. There's a lot of great stuff on there. So awesome. Well, like I said, I would encourage everybody to listen to both shows. And I like I said, I love Dead Tube. It's such a unique and fun concept. And great, Brandon. Thank you so much, my friend. It's been nice to talk to you, and we'll have to have you back on again in the future when you've got some more episodes out, especially of Dead Tube, because I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you got it, brother. Take care. Thanks, Brandon. Bye-bye.
You have a good one.
You too. All right, that was Brandon Fisher, host of Dead Tube and Sack 'em Up Sundays.
Yeah, it's available in the Apple Store.
There you go. Well, I think we will take a quick break and kind of reset, and then maybe we'll get into some of the stuff that Bloomberg is out, by the way. Some breaking news. According to Politico, Mike Bloomberg will not be running in 2020.
I got some news. Your Moscow correspondent might be calling in.
Oh, no kidding.
Except
wow.
She's not from Moscow.
Right.
She doesn't live there.
Well, close.
We get to say Moscow the real American way.
Right. Well, I have a
Patriots.
friend. I think I told you this before. See, I have a friend in broadcasting. His name's Mickey. And he had told me, but he's older. He's an older guy. He's retired now. But he had said that when he went to broadcasting school, they tried to get him. They tried to really get everybody to say Moscow, and they used to say there's no cow in Moscow. It's Moscow,
and it's really Moskva.
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 Probably it. Well, we'll ask her.
Moskva.
She's from Königsberg.
I just enjoy saying it. Moskva.
Moskva?
Oh, is that how you say Moskva?
I don't know, Melania. How do you say it?
I don't know how. I'm not good at saying stuff. I'm a talk show host. I don't know how to actually speak.
Hey, why am I looking at the weekly Dion in front of me? Where's your show?
Oh, it's up here.
Oh, cool. Finally.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Finally, we get some equity.
I was going to take a break, but maybe we'll just keep going. We have a call, but you're listening to Matt Connarton Unleashed on WMNH 95.3 FM. Mick? Hi, how dare you? Just because I'm Irish, that's a slur. Hi, welcome to Matt.
Melania calls you?
No, I don't know what she called me Rick or something. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, this is Pat. How are you doing, Matt?
This is Pat. I like how you vary the name. You vary the name every time you call.
In. I wanted to see if we could get John fired up on a little Vietnam discussion because he's very liberal and
I'm not into Vietnam.
Intelligent out there. I'd like to see what he could talk about Vietnam and the Vietnam War.
I am not a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah, but you definitely have your educational background and your opinions.
Yeah.
Why do you think America went to war with Vietnam?
I don't think anybody can answer that after all these years. I just read Daniel Ellsberg's book, which I'd never read his memoir.
Daniel Ellsberg
of the Pentagon Papers.
The Pentagon Papers,
yeah.
If the Gulf of Tonkin was a false flag, and it clearly was, admitted and everything, what was the whole reason for us going to war with Vietnam? Because they didn't really have any resources that I'm aware of, and usually the U.S. just goes to war for resources, like Afghanistan, sitting on the biggest lithium deposit in the known world.
Oil.
And, of course, the opium poppy plants. And we all know the CIA is running all that stuff. So what did we go into Vietnam for? That's what I'm curious about.
That would be a whole show in itself. But there are major oil deposits, and Vietnam now has, even though it was deep offshore, Vietnam's a major producer of oil now. But it was part of the Cold War. Basically, LBJ said he did not want to be blamed for losing Vietnam, like Truman was blamed for losing China.
Huh.
You're playing.
That's funny because they say we were trying to help them out of communism, but when I was over there, I spoke with thousands of Vietnamese and even a highly decorated war commander there.
Yeah.
on the Vietnamese side, and nobody wanted us there.
No, and the French
Nobody.
had already lost the war in '54, but we decided to take it over.
It's too bad.
Yeah, but nobody wanted us there, so why did we invade them? And, I get a lot of racist comments thrown at me and my wife about Vietnam. Hell, I've even lost a lot of business because of it. But, what America needs to learn is we invaded Vietnam. Vietnam didn't invade us.
Yes, and
we got our asses kicked, and then we cut and run, and we didn't even help them rebuild.
It's not that we cut and run. It's just that Nixon
Well, of
continued.
course we did. Have you been to Vietnam?
No,
have you seen the new buildings they had to build on top of the rubble from what we destroyed? And then we didn't even help them with anything.
Right. But the United States, Nixon kept the war going when he could have ended it after becoming president.
But why is
he
it the only country that defeated us in war is the only one that we didn't help rebuild?
Because we were still at... it was because... Why would we rebuild Vietnam? We rebuilt Germany because we occupied.
Isn't that the rule of the game?
No.
That the United States, when we go to war, we help every country rebuild? Look at all these countries. Isn't that in the Geneva Convention or something? Maybe I'm off on which pact or treaty it's under,
Germany.
But we're required to help rebuild.
How you say we're required to rebuild? We're not required to rebuild anything. We occupied Germany. I was part of the occupation of Germany. There were 2 million...
We take over and we bomb countries and then we help them rebuild. That's what we've done for hundreds of years. But for some reason, this one poor country that we attacked, we didn't do anything to help them rebuild after we cut and run.
But
you
can
call it whatever you want, but it's cut and run by any standard.
No, we didn't cut and run. We kept that war up until it just ran out of gas.
Mike Egan in the Facebook live chat is saying it was the communist domino theory. That's why we went in. I mean, that's what was sold to the public, right? We have to. It's the whole thing.
China fell, and you're going to lose all of Southeast Asia. You're going to lose all of the resources there, and then we're going to be fighting the communists on the beaches in San Diego.
Right. It's the same thing they use.
It's all propaganda.
Well,
it's all propaganda.
It's how they sell war to us today. Well, if we don't fight them over there, we'll have to fight them over here, even though we know it's all nonsense.
Yeah, I'd like to know the real reason why we went and killed all those innocent people for no reason.
I suggest you
I'd like to know that.
David Halberstam.
And nobody really knows it. You talk to the Vietnamese, and they tell you
they were
even
victims.
This highly decorated war commander. He says that apparently America wanted to take over a small, weak country, but it didn't work.
Well,
just for control is what they say. They don't even know the real reasons. But
the Americans don't even know the real reason.
If it was for oil, we'd still be there.
No, you can, as the French and the British found out. You can cut your ties with your colonial former colonies and then control them through what's called neoliberalism, neocolonialism. Before Mitterrand became a socialist, he wrote the Loi Code in the 50s when he was part of the other party. I used to know this backwards and forwards, where you can just dominate a country economically without having your troops on the ground. You can just send the Foreign Legion in and paratroopers every now and then. You have to realize Africa, the colonialism, the world decolonialized. France had a war from 46 to 54 in Vietnam, where they fought what's called the Viet Minh, and Ho Chi Minh was like the George Washington of Vietnam, and he thought the United States would support
I will say
him.
this. Anybody in America that thinks socialism is the key, Vietnam is a communist socialist country, and believe me, you don't want America to be like that, okay? They are very good people, very peaceful people in Vietnam,
a socialist country.
But they struggle a lot in daily living, and the medical care is terrible there. I got into an accident, had to get surgery on my shoulder. And, I mean, I couldn't even find doctors that would work on me because, I mean, not just from the socialism, but they were scared to death that if they harmed one flake of skin on my body, that America was going to come back bombing them. So, socialism's not the key.
What about in Sweden?
It's terrible what we done to Vietnam.
What about Sweden? That's
I ended up taking all my own stitches out because I couldn't find anyone brave enough to do it.
Did you really?
But you're talking about a third world country.
Right.
You're not talking
it's only
about
third
Sweden.
world because of
It's
the way
first world.
America judges everyone.
And how is that?
The average Vietnamese person makes $200 to $300 a month.
What does that have to do
and
with the way
rent
the
on a decent
United
house
States
is
judges
$250?
them? We import the goods from Vietnam.
America does not import hardly crap from Vietnam.
Show
me one good heavy-hitting product that we import from Vietnam. We don't take nothing from them.
That's not true.
Okay? I've spent many months in Vietnam in the last year, and the quality of their exports are so low that America would not touch it. And the quality is low because America and all the other countries have turned their back on Vietnam.
What about its two clients?
They're stuck 50 years plus behind
what about Russia?
Everybody else.
Wait, let's clarify something for John, because I don't know if John realizes this. So John asked,
I know who he is.
Well, the audience might not know too. So John asks why you're so angry about this, and we should clarify for everybody that this is personal to you because you've spent a lot of time over there, and your wife is Vietnamese, and so when
was she born?
You've seen it up close, Vietnam. Just so everyone's
I
aware.
sit with Vietnam veterans. One of the best things a Vietnam combat veteran can do is go to Vietnam because the people there are wonderful and they're forgiving.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most healing things you can do. And they can learn. They're both victims of this senseless war. You should read Halberstam, The Best and the Brightest. You should read Michael Hare.
I support our veterans 100%. In fact, my company has done a lot to help our veterans. I hold nothing against our veterans. They're given their job and their orders, and they follow them.
Remember,
I love our veterans.
Russia.
I think the government misleads them and uses them as pawns and
let's not get into that.
to conquer these countries and take over.
You could say that the war in Vietnam was genocide and that Henry Kissinger should be tried and, if convicted, shot as a war criminal. A lot of people believe that.
100%.
Because it was for nothing.
And like I said, I think our veterans are harmless in this because they follow orders, which is what they're supposed to do,
Yeah, it's horrible for both sides. And But remember, the Soviet Union was in there supplying the material, the SAM missiles, everything. Chinese were vaguely involved. Then China invaded in 1979. Excuse me, China and Vietnam were always hostile. China was Korea.
I think from all the time that I spent in Vietnam, I kind of wonder, because how the governments have all these advanced AIs and everything, and anything they tell us now is 50 years or more, behind where they're at. And I wonder if they had an inkling that Vietnam was going to be up and coming and a real powerful nation, because these are the hardest working people I've ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if we just went in there to bomb them into oblivion, just to kick them back and put a stop to them becoming more powerful and influential in the world.
Not at all.
Quickly, hello to Sandra Sam Newson in the Facebook, Newman rather, in the Facebook live chat, as well as Ed Murphy. Let me just put this out there. At the risk of sounding horribly naive, is it possible that there are just people, like JFK, who were sincere in what they were putting forth, and who genuinely believed that that they were a growing menace to us in the world?
Why would Vietnam be a growing menace? It was only as a client state of the Soviet Union.
I'm just asking the question: is it possible that somebody actually was sincere in their belief that we needed to do this?
At the time, China and the Soviet Union had split apart, but that wasn't recognized until 1970, 71, 72 in the United States. It just ignored it.
Yeah,
it's playing a game of chess. And they don't give a damn about the people who die, whether
of course
it's
not.
Vietnamese or Americans.
They never do.
Neither did the Soviets. The Chinese threw the losses in Korea. Mm-hmm. Look at the Korean War, technically still going. The Vietnamese, it was incredible. They defeated the greatest army in the world. There were more bombs dropped on Vietnam than the entire World War II. Now they reveal that LBJ was considering dropping the atomic bomb.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. But I'll tell you what, JFK met with five-star General MacArthur, and he told him not to get involved in Vietnam because, unlike Korea, it wasn't a peninsula. You can supply the NVA, the North Vietnamese Army, and the Viet Cong through Laos, which was destroyed, and Cambodia. Cambodia was utterly destroyed. We invaded it illegally under Nixon. I would suggest reading Daniel Ellsberg's memoir because he tried to get Nixon. He tried to give him the Pentagon Papers because he knew Kissinger from Harvard. He said he had been told in '67 before Tet when he had met the Secretary of Defense McNamara, and he said the war is lost. This is before Tet, and he said you can blame it all on the Democrats, but get the hell out. Right. You can't win the war. But Nixon kept going on. So he kills another 30,000 Americans and another million Vietnamese. And then he utterly destroyed Cambodia. That was one of the articles considered of impeachment. The illegal invasion of... To invade Cambodia was against international law. To invade Iraq was against international law, too. And no less a personage than Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, but again, Iraq, there was oil and gold.
Oh, there's plenty. Vietnam is a very important place
hello
in geopolitics.
Hello to Peter White from the Morning Show with Peter White, who joins us in the Facebook live chat.
Hey, John.
If a country doesn't have anything, nobody fights.
Can we finish up on something you mentioned earlier? Tell me one major import that we take from Vietnam. You said that we import a lot of things from Vietnam.
I see.
Can you tell me one major thing that I can verify?
I'm surprised this hat's not made in Vietnam. I'll tell you, a Market Basket imports shrimp from Vietnam.
Oh,
okay. Where can I go to verify that? Because I've never.
I'll put it up on Matt's site.
Huh?
I'll put it up on Matt's site. But if you want to talk about
this,
put it up on
the site. Throw up a link where I can verify that because I think you're wrong. There's nothing that we import from Vietnam.
There's plenty.
We're not going to take
hats
shrimp from all the way over there and ship it over here. It just wouldn't be economically feasible.
Oh, you'd be surprised. They bring garlic in from China. You just put them on one of those tankers.
I know
with all the stuff.
I know when I was a kid, I would see made in Vietnam on things. I don't know
hats
about
and
now,
stuff.
but I haven't looked either, so I don't know. I have no idea.
I was supposed to put shrimp from Vietnam. I got the human centipede from Vietnam.
Oh,
maybe that's what we'll import.
Oh my goodness! Oh no.
Well, we could arrange a show. Like I have a TV show. We could talk about it. Maybe I can bring some Vietnam vets on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe I can bring my Vietnamese family over and they can talk to them and everybody can have a discussion about the war and ask them why.
Well, they can't tell you why. They're asking themselves 60 years later. One of the guys in my group was at the Gulf of Tonkin. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
McNamara, what was it, about 7 or 8 years ago now? McNamara finally admitted that was a false flag?
Everybody
Gulf of Tonkin?
It's been in the white papers for a long time that it was a false flag. Just a reason for us to get into Vietnam. Like I said, that's why. I mean, I don't see the oil production there. You know, if there was oil there, I think the Vietnamese would be having their refineries up, and they'd be a very wealthy country, but they're not.
Jenny just posted in the Facebook live chat. This is from the government's website. The U.S. and Vietnam meet regularly on trade and investment issues, including under our 2007 Trade and Investment Framework Agreement, which provides a platform for addressing bilateral issues, monitoring Vietnam's implementation of its WTO
they're part of the World Trade Organization,
et cetera. So there is trade going on, yes. So we do import.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some digging into that because I don't see it. Every other country we trade with is doing well. They're wealthy. Their people are taken care of, but somehow Vietnam's getting the short end of the stick. If there is any trade going on,
250,000 barrels a day of oil.
Maybe it's the Lolita Express. Maybe the government's shipping sex slaves from Vietnam to the Lolita Island there for that guy to mess around with. But I don't see anything.
There's some links in the Facebook live chat there, Patrick. You can check out.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into those and see because I just can't see where any benefits coming to Vietnam.
Because the thing is, just because there's people engaging in trade and making money,
that's like Russia. Nobody gets anything,
right? That doesn't mean that that's actually trickling down to the people. Like John just mentioned, Russia. You know, you got some very, very wealthy oligarchs in Russia who make a lot of money and do very, very well, but that doesn't mean that they're actually paying the people much of anything. You know, I mean, there's poverty.
Yeah, it could be time to follow the money trail.
Yeah, I mean, there's poverty in China. I mean, very, very vibrant economy, but there's terrible poverty there, too.
People are used as beasts of burden.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So, you know, That's what I would say. But Patrick, thank you for the call, my friend. We'll move on to some other things, but maybe you guys can connect online. All right, take care, my friend. All right, that was Patrick Henry. Yeah, I don't know if you were listening earlier, John. He's going to be actually moving to Vietnam. Yes, 400,000
barrels a day at its height in 2004. Now it's down to 300,000. It's dropping. But the resources are there. That's why China, we have all the arguments with the Spratly Islands and all that. All that offshore oil.
Perry in the Facebook live chat says, why is he just saying, well, those facts say something, but I disagree? Well, I think he's going to look into it, But like I said, I mean, just because a country is, you can have a rich country. You can have a very rich country with a lot of very poor people in it who aren't seeing the benefit of the trade policy. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Seriously, did you just say that guy's moving to Vietnam that was just harassing you guys?
He's not harassing.
Oh, he's not harassing. No, Patrick's a good guy. No, he's called the show before. You've talked to him.
All right, but I have to say something on air.
Okay.
The information that you read that I gave you was from the Office of the United States Trade Representative, Executive Office of the President. I don't know what else he wants for freaking reference, but
I know. Well,
he's moving to a country he apparently doesn't know everything about.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll say this here in his defense a little bit. So I think what's going on, because he has spent a lot of time there, and I think and he loves the Vietnamese people, because we've talked about that a lot when he calls in, and his wife is Vietnamese and so forth. And I think he feels a lot of empathy for them because they're not necessarily doing well, and I think.
Neither are Russians,
right? Yeah. And I think when he looks into the information that you shared and does some research, he's going to realize that it may be a simple case of there's some people there making a lot of money, but it's just not trickling down, to use that term. Like we were talking about, like there's Russians who are very, very wealthy who benefit tremendously from trade, but there's still a lot of poverty in Russia, and so I think he's frustrated by the poverty that he sees there, and he doesn't understand. Why is it that these people are living so poorly? So I think he's going to do the research. Hopefully he looks at the information that you shared.
It should be something that he should be investigating with the Vietnamese government, not the United States. The United States exports over $2 billion in services to Vietnam annually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah.
But no, that was just too funny, because he was like, I have to check your resources. I got to check where you're getting it. And it's like, okay, it's the Office of the United States.
Right.
Vietnam ranks 25 in its oil reserves, but it's like 1/10 of the United States.
Yeah.
Well, it's huge for them. It's one of their top 10 exports, actually. I gave Matt a bunch of numbers earlier.
Oh, yeah.
On it, but their number one export, though, is electrical machinery and equipment.
Probably, yeah.
Huh.
Over $7 billion, and 26% of their total is on electrical.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
But you know what I thought was really odd? Their 10th one, the 10th position of top 10, cotton.
That makes cotton because of the delta, the river.
And I think that also speaks to what you said earlier about
textiles.
Textiles.
Yeah, we have a lot imported.
We get a lot of textiles imported to our country from there.
Right. All righty.
Well, you guys have some fun.
All right. Thanks, Jenny.
Always. Nice hearing from you.
All right.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Listen to this. Venezuela's got the most oil in the world now, beyond Saudi Arabia. When did that happen? No wonder why it's everything's going on.
I'm worried about that. I mean, I don't think that. Oh, by the way, hello to John Midas Manning, who joins us online, also known as DJ Midas, who hosts a great show here on WMNH 95.3, Late Night Delight, every Saturday and Sunday night from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. And I know you listened. I like often, John, I will listen to that show.
What show?
And Late Night Delight, and I will imagine you getting down in your living room listening to it.
Is it before 1991?
By getting down, I mean dancing. Before 1991, well, some of them, I mean, might be some remixes of from before 1991, sure.
Oh.
But but it's more current stuff. Peter White says Midas in the Facebook live chat.
He used to be a co-host on Amsterdam, was he not?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. DJ Midas says. DJ Midas says thank you. Let's see. We have another call. It looks like Jenny and Patrick are getting into it in the Facebook live chat. Hello, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, it's Jeremy, sir.
Jeremy, huh?
Yes, sir.
Jeremy who?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. All
yes,
right.
sir.
What can I do for you, Jeremy?
Well, sir, I have a big poo-poo in my pants right now, sir. It's a massive poop. Can you please help me out, sir? It's a massive poo-poo.
All right. Well, good luck.
Time to cut that up.
There we go. Well, now, hold on. I have some sympathy for Jeremy because that can be very uncomfortable.
What? Pee-pee? He used the P word. You didn't hear it.
He said poop?
Not just poop. He said number one, too, begin with a P. Didn't you hear it?
Poop? Number one? Ooh, pee-pee?
Sibilance.
I don't know what you're... I don't know. I'm very confused.
I'm always confused.
Yes. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, Slimy Bung. How are you?
Slimy Bung? Are you addressing myself or Mr. Hopwood?
Hello, Slimy Bung. How are you?
I guess he's talking to you. How are you?
How are you?
How are you? You think
hey, Bung, how are you?
It does sound like a tape.
Hello, Slimy Bung. How are you?
It does sound like, yes. We used to have that when I was Norm's co-host on Norm and Friends. There was someone who, well, yeah, there was some of that, but there was someone who would call with like a what do you call that? I forget. There was a specific term for it.
A vocoder or something to change your voice?
Yeah, but it was a recording. Well, kind of like the soundboard, like we have the ghost of John McCain.
Absolutely not.
No, he's here with us. But it's really just the virtual ghost of John McCain. I'm trying to lure in Michelle Malkin so I can ask her, are you familiar with Michelle Malkin and her quote-unquote work?
Is she the one that was married to the guy from Louisiana?
I don't know if she was or not, but she's the one who wrote the book about the Japanese internment, saying that that was a good idea.
Well, it wasn't?
No.
Why not?
Hi, welcome to Matt.
I'll argue that point.
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Oh, interesting. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, this is Jim. Listen, I have a little bit of a complaint. The language on your program is a little too much for me. People are saying slimy B and PP. I don't want to say the full word, but it's a little much.
We're going to try to clean it up, Jim. Starting right now. In fact, you know what, Jim? I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways.
That's great. Also, can I get a pepperoni pizza?
Yes, you can. We'll have it right to you. Thanks, Jim. All right.
Why pepperoni?
Why So
we're having a special on feta cheese and anchovies.
Are you seriously like?
Why would you look at me that way? Because you've been totally like brainwashed.
This is a controversial position you're taking.
Why? How could it be controversial?
The Japanese internment?
I edited a book on it.
Was it Michelle Malkin's book?
What do you, who attacked the United States? You look. You have got this big grin on your face. I could, if I had my tape loop, which I don't have.
Yeah,
I would have the one from the Wild Bunch. You know?
No, I don't know.
That's too obscene to do.
Hang on. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Pizza.
Hello?
Pizza.
Hey, it's Will.
All right. I think we're done with calls for now. No, I want to hear.
I guess we're losing our Russian correspondent.
Oh, really? Why? She hasn't?
She was going to call in at a specific time.
What time?
It's already gone.
Oh, okay. So you're arguing in favor of the Japanese internment?
What do you mean arguing in favor? They interned the Japanese for a simple reason. Do you know what it was? You can't be that naive.
What was it?
Do you know anything about Shinto, the religion of the Japanese?
No.
The emperor is God.
Okay.
Do you realize as part of the capitulation, Hirohito had the sign that he was no longer God, and there's still arguments about whether he actually did that because of the subtleties of language and the diplomatic language used in that instrument?
Okay.
He was God. What does that mean to you? That the emperor of Japan is God. What does that mean to you? That the word of the emperor is the word of God, right?
Okay, right.
Do you know anything about the Pacific? Because we have that imbecile in the White House who said, "Oh, it's the 50th anniversary or whatever anniversary of some, of D-Day." He mentioned something during his speech about the war.
Yeah.
Oh, are you going for help there on the? Let's put your devices down. Let's talk.
I'm in the middle of doing a radio show, and I got a few different things.
We'll go from the head. No, because somebody's going to be sending you a tip.
No, I am getting a text message that has something to do with the show, but it's not about that.
Because I'll argue with you from that without Fred Bonig sending all this stuff in that came
He's not
out
sending me
later
anything, but I got a text message from Peter White, and he works here, so I wanted to see what it was.
Peter, we got the word of God. Isn't that ironic?
No, but dude, I'm in the middle of doing a radio show, so I got to look at other things. I can't just sit here and look at you. I got screens, and I got to pay attention to what's going on. So chill.
No, it's God's way.
And I got a chat room here, and I'm going to continue to look at the chat room when things pop up in it because I'm in the middle of doing a radio show.
We're going to pull all this stuff out where somebody gets some idiotic thing off of Wikipedia rather than argue with just using what's inside our heads.
Now you're being a condescending ass right now.
God called.
You have stated a very controversial position. I'm just asking you to explain it.
How is it controversial?
I'm not even arguing with you. I'm just asking you to explain it. How is it controversial?
How is it controversial? I lived through it. I'm 60 years old. I remember when all the stuff was being argued in the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it controversial? Do you know that Canada interned the Japanese too?
No, I didn't know that.
Did you know that Canada interned the Ukrainians in 1917?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. During the Great War. Did you know that Italians and Germans were interned?
But don't most people look back at this as kind of a stain on American history? I mean, that's what I was taught growing up. Maybe I was indoctrinated in a public school.
You mean the media?
Everybody. I don't know. I literally.
How everybody?
I literally have never heard, except for far right conservatives.
You never literally heard, because have you ever read, so you've never read any histories or contemporary histories of that time?
Not recently.
And you never read anything when it actually was going on. You know, they interned the Ukrainians, and the Canadians made them build a railroad.
So,
I never quite figured out why Ukrainians were interned.
Should we have interned Muslims after 9/11?
Just a different situation.
Why?
What are you talking about? What's a different situation?
Why is it different?
Did you have? Is it 1940? That's a historic. That's what you call the historicist fallacy. By pretending that you can't equate the situation in 2001 with what happened in 1941.
I'm just asking a question.
No,
we should not have interned Muslims after 9/11. But why is it different?
It's different because there's two different situations. The United States in 2001 was an entirely different country than the one in 1941. The country in 2001 was what my grandfather would have called a police state. He was a Republican, but an Eisenhower type. Well, actually, a Hoover type. What has gone on in the United States from 1941 to 2001? Think of the difference between 2001 and the difference between 2019. We had, for the first time, a president put journalists in jail since 1917. We had a president evoke the Espionage Act of 1917, which was used to crack down on socialists. Debs was put in jail under the Espionage Act 1917 for stating the opinion that the draft should be resisted. And he was put in jail, and he was released by Warren G. Harding. The fact is, that president was Obama. Obama was one of the most illiberal presidents we've ever had. That's ignored, isn't it? Obama's the first president in history that maybe you could argue that Abraham Lincoln, but that was the War of the Rebellion, to have a United States citizen murdered extra legally. And you know that's true.
Well, we've talked about that on the show.
Talking about America in 2001, talk about it in 2019, it's different things. To talk about what the United States was, what was it, the 19th largest army or something?
But when you talk about
small cadre.
so when you talk about it not being the same country as it was in 1941, what do you mean in terms of?
There was, because history is rewritten at the time. If you have contemporary accounts, which I do, because I have an extensive library, there was the threat of espionage, Japanese espionage. There was Italian espionage in the country. There was German espionage. Are you going to deny that? There was Soviet espionage. Do you deny those things?
So why didn't we round up all these people?
What did I just tell you? Italians. The difference with the Japanese internment was with the Eisai. Nisai, Eisai. One is foreign born, and then the Eisai, I believe, were the second generation. They were American citizens. There's where you get a certain technicality over it. The people that were interned, Germans and Italians, were considered foreign aliens. When I was a boy, on TV, you used to have the things about some type of emergency network in case like they dropped the bomb or something, and you'd hear. They still have some on the radio.
Yeah,
but they say that's for like storms and stuff. But they used to always have, and it was always on Sunday for some reason, where there was no good cartoons or anything, where they'd have, if you are an alien, you have to register. Uh-huh. Now, there's the Supreme Court decisions that evolve during the period of 1942 to 1944. The way that the law that was enforced was egregious. In fact, Earl Warren, one of the great liberals, always felt a tremendous amount of guilt about what happened. He was the governor of California at the time, Republican, but a California Republican of his time. Warren, you have the Warren Court.
Yeah.
What happened to the Japanese was terrible. They stole their property.
Right.
There are things that shameful. But you're talking about the commander-in-chief during that you just got hit at Pearl Harbor, and you've just lost the Pacific Fleet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only hard. Do you understand? At the same time, Singapore is being lost. The Philippines are being lost.
But you just said what happened to them was shameful.
Submarines. What happened to the Japanese was how the law was enforced was shameful. The things they did to the people, giving them so little time, and
this is an important. Well, hang on, this is an important detail. So
so
you agree with the internment, but not how it was done.
It was worked. I don't agree. You're asking me to pass judgment on something that happened before I was born. And you're asking me about something.
I'm asking your opinion. You expressed a controversial, by most people.
How is it controversial?
Because very few people would say that in 2019 on a radio show.
Nobody would
what
say
you just said. At least not this kind of radio show.
People would say it if they weren't going to be. Am I going to be shamed and run off the radio station? I've got the entire library.
No, of course not. I'm trying to have a conversation with you about it because I'm interested in.
Well, it's something because
why do you get so defensive?
Because when I was at Oxford University Press, one of my authors wrote stupid stuff about this. The type of crap they put out now about knowing nothing. And I argued with the person.
Yeah.
Because that's absolutely false what you're saying, which it was. Equated it with camps in Germany, which is outrageous.
Okay.
I know about what camps because I've read extensively because Canada went through the similar thing too.
Yeah.
And if you read about the Supreme Court decisions, you'll see how it changes. When the threat from Japan recedes, then the court becomes much more elastic. Remember, they executed 6 German saboteurs on the electric chair. And in those days, you got your trial, and that was even in civilian life. So you're not talking, you want to take this one situation and you divorce it was going on.
No, I actually just wanted to have a conversation about it because I was curious why you took the position that you did.
Because FDR was justified in that. But you see, you're divorcing. You don't know that.
I'm not divorcing anything.
But you're divorcing it from the entire history of the time.
No, I've been
did it.
I've been sitting here listening to you explain and talk about the entire history of the time.
Did it.
What am I trying to divorce?
Because Americans don't know anything about history. They don't.
So if I don't sit here and just agree with you, I'm divorcing something. I mean, what?
But you didn't know about the internment of the Germans. You didn't know about the internment. You didn't know were there Japanese saboteurs? Were there Japanese?
So unless I know all the facts about something, I shouldn't ask you your opinion about something. I'm trying to understand because you're setting up some weird ground rules here.
It's not weird because it's called the historical or historicist fallacy, where you're going to judge something that happened,
right,
on the basis of now.
I just don't know why you got so defensive.
Assuming that 2001. Oh, because there is a reason, but that would be a whole story. It was because I went as they were revising all this stuff. History, the revising of history. I went head to head with someone who made false claims about what it was.
Okay.
And, most books, even at Oxford University Press, it's like, oh, geez, let's just churn the book out. Nobody's going to buy it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you, most authors, that's a whole other technical thing. Most writers get sloppy after the first few chapters.
Yeah.
You must have seen that reading books.
Mm-hmm.
People that write histories are no different. And particularly novelists. Oh, they throw everything in the beginning. And as you get out into it, it's like, I've decided I'm going to take a vacation on here and just write some crap.
Do you feel that I was somehow unfair to you by asking you to clarify your position because I was genuinely curious?
No, I was remembering what happened back in 2006,
and you were projecting it onto this.
Right, yeah. because it was the guy was saying all this crap, which I
understand.
But I've seen in my lifetime the revision of history. I'm surprised that Fred Boenig doesn't call in and support the Japanese killing all those Americans because they were white guys.
I don't think he would support that.
Why wouldn't he? The Japanese went to war on the basis against the white man, and that's true. They were going to create the co-prosperity sphere with their fellow people of color, and they actually used that rhetoric and that rhetorical strategy. Do you understand about what was going on in India with Bose's army? How close Britain could have lost India? The reason India was partitioned wasn't because of Gandhi. It's because of Bose's army and because of Nehru. They were such a threat. Yeah, of course, Fred's going to come in with a standard.
Well, no, because we don't have time. But Fred did post something in the Facebook live chat.
Right,
but,
it's all a revision of history.
But we are out of time.
But what's interesting, because I'd love to go over it, was Roberts brings this up and used it in such a half-assed way, and then just goes ahead and gives Trump what he wants,
right,
against the Muslims. But see, I'm not going to judge, you have to, what FDR did was considered necessity. If you go into time, it was very grim. The British just lost their entire Pacific Empire. France was in the pocket of Germany. There were Quebec, the French Canadians were pro-Hitler. There were draft riots in Canada. No Canadian that was drafted could be sent off to war, because they wouldn't put up with it. There were draft riots. And after 1942, enlistments dropped so precipitously, they had to draft everybody from 18 to 44. So, see, there is a real history there, but instead of this Tom Brokaw, the greatest generation. Oh, my God, the Americans did plenty of wild stuff, too.
Right.
It boggles the mind. The truth is so much more fun, though. But, like I said, Earl Warren... that was probably his greatest regret that they did intern the Japanese.
Right.
Because they did it with such heavy-handed way.
Right.
Because of our old friend racism. But there was also a lot of racism against Italians and against Germans because of 2 wars. So it would be an interesting thing to say without having a flashback.
Yes.
Well, you were
looking at a spot. It made for good radio.
I'm back into arguing with...
I was genuinely shocked, yes.
Let me tell you, a law professor can be brilliant, and they can also be dumb. Remember, we were talking about brilliant people, they're also dumb.
Absolutely, yes.
Battle royal. And I lost, by the way.
Oh, really?
I got it through.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. We are out of time. Thank you, everybody. Don't have time to thank everybody. It's a busy show today, and we'll be back tomorrow.
I'm ready for that date.
All right. Hopwood's ready for his date. Peter suggested words of wisdom. I don't know if that's what he meant it as a suggestion, but he put words of wisdom by third base in there. So
Peter's
that's what we're
the
ending
radio
with.
god.
Yes, listen to Peter White every morning here on WMNH. All right, we're out of here. Bye, everybody.
IPMNation.com.